Hello, it is me. This is so weird to expose myself because I don't like for everybody to look at me. But since I'm sitting in my living room watching Looney Tunes, you can kind of see the reflection in the yeah, that's Looney Tunes. And so my targeted audience of 50 plus ladies who have raised our families independently from hard work every day. Um, hey, I'm glad that maybe I get to talk to you. Please always share your comments with me. If you know, I do see the trolling, and so you guys, if you have nothing else to do but pick on uh, someone in their lifetime, um, experience sharing, go right ahead. I've grown accustomed to ignoring verbal and emotional abuse. So for haters, please acknowledge that that is what you're doing. Before we get there, by the way, so this channel, I'm coming to you in my most frazzled state. Today is one of the hardest days, and it's hard to compare and actually rank the hard days now that I've had so many. Look at my cute shirt. Ah, but I've had so many consecutive that um, it's hard to pick which one is really the hardest. This whole uh, collusion, targeted campaign of criminals trying to victimize a 50-year-old woman because she lives alone started about 2021. And there were things before then, but we're going to start there because that's when the first brutal assault took place. And so since then, it's now 2026. I've been assaulted on a very consistent basis, to the point that sometimes I can predict that I'm getting ready to walk into a theater. So what I mean is, the person who is attacking me they create theatrical stages, and then they use um, the legal process to build this campaign of victim blaming. And basically the whole campaign seems, from my experience and from what I've studied, it seems like the whole campaign's initiative is to destroy your character, destroy your reputation by, they kind of, well, they do assault you, and then when you respond in any way, physically, say they hit you first, you hit them back. They are friends with the people who are going to come and take you to jail because at that point, the only story that is told creates the victim as, the crazy person. It's a very documented playbook that these people use. So the other thing is that they can do things that push you to a point that you use your First Amendment freedom to speak, and then they use everything you say to reconstruct it as a weapon against you. It's insane. It's insane. And so this is the playbook. And then they do this repeatedly so long for so many years consecutively that one, it starts to affect your support system. You don't want your friends, one, to become a victim as well. You also don't want to tell them because human tendency is to say, well, You shoulda. You coulda. I would. These are just things that we do as humans. So, and it's just hard. That's just human nature. So you don't want to hear that from your friends. You just would rather kind of minimize the drama. So you keep these things kind of tucked away. You build up a resistance that almost makes them think that it didn't happen, because that's the way that you mentally and physically survive. Because again, part of the playbook campaign is to ruin your reputation, personally and professionally, to build up a group, to build up a lot of belief that your response to being abused um, is not about because you're being abused. It's about because you're just not quite right, or this is. I'm just saying, this is just how it works. Because it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I've been very dedicated to my profession, which is complicated. I am a medical coder um, for 27 years. So I work to protect the financial integrity of reimbursement. Um, it's very important to me. I'm not saying to everybody who does my job, but to me, it is very important to make sure that the work that I provide is not being misused. Because on that side of the fence, there is also this campaign to use people and then turn around and say that it was their fault. So here I am. This is what we're going to talk about on this channel. And I'm coming to you real because I want you to know I'm a real person. Now, hopefully, eventually, I will show you how well I clean up. I can't do that today because I don't have any water in my home. I will explain to you how 5 years ago, these people targeted me and destroyed my private residential property, which caused me to be without water for 2 months. I think Thanksgiving and Christmas and some of January, which I'm just going to tell you, people experience this. A lot of viewers have not. And I want to encourage you to realize that because you have not, there's no way you can understand how a human being feels when they're deprived of water for months. And this is real for the homeless. This is real for the crisis that the United States is experiencing that we have not experienced since times before war. Because the wars that occurred ensured the rights that Americans would prosper, and we have for decades. We've done pretty well, but we're seeing now a higher population of people who are going without. And of course, here we go again. If you're on that lucky side of the conversation that you have not been without, it is human nature, unfortunately, a natural instinct groomed into us. And I have visited other countries that have a different first response or reaction. But a lot of us, because we have not experienced, we want to say, well, you did something that made you experience this time without water. No, a lot of people didn't. My experiences were it was intentional, I'm telling you, by these people who targeted me because guess what? I just want to be nice. I want to be pleasant. I want to be happy. And I sacrifice a lot to maintain that ability to kind of live in a happy, pleasant day to day, regardless, I'd say. And a lot of people do. We just endure what we have to endure so that we can maintain our little happy present. So that's cool. I want to keep doing that. But so I'm without water right now because as representing myself as a pro se, which I'm going to make these videos for you because you got to hear this. Um, it's a part of life that people don't talk about. But unfortunately, it's becoming more commonplace. Through my experience, my research said that people, while there was a court decision made by the Supreme Court in 2022, 23, where they said that if a person is wrongfully arrested, the fact that the case was dismissed proves their innocence. And if you think about it constitutionally, that makes sense, right? Because they say that you are innocent until you are proven guilty. But there's a lot of people who have been incarcerated and are not guilty. Really scary conversation. And unfortunately, it seems to be more. It's happening. It's occurring more and more. So anyway, according to the Supreme Court, if your case is dismissed, you are innocent, right? And that's in accordance with you are innocent until you are proven guilty. And they tell you to presume innocence until someone is proven guilty. So when in my case, I was wrongfully arrested, and I cannot wait to tell you that story. Now, AI and everybody else in the world says I cannot tell you that story. I will be sued for defamation, and that's the real thing again. These criminals who weaponize the law, you might not be able to defend your rights for determination by a council of juries or whatever. Forgive me for the misterming. Like I said, I am in a trauma state, so my mind does get a little. You will see that this is not me. I can't wait to show you my normal expectation of myself, preservation, appearance and things. But right now, I'm not playing that game with anybody for anybody. So yeah, I'm without water. Yeah, and I was told the last time, it finally came out years later that these people had taken my water. And, so the people around me said, well, you can just use mine. You can just use my water hose. But of course, no, you really can't, because we live in a time period where, that's not cool. You need your own water. So yeah, today, luckily, my neighbor was so gracious to allow me to to use a water hose outside to fill buckets so that I can flush my toilets. Yes, I said so that I can flush my toilets. Oh my God. People. That's a big deal. It's a big deal that we do every day, and we're just like, yeah, I'm just going to do it again and walk away. Because, because it's a great thing to have. I don't know how many of us realize it's a luxury. So for me, today, yesterday, actually for a couple of weeks, it is a high value luxury. So I'm filling these buckets up with water from a water hose that I have drug across from the neighbor's yard. And they were like, why are you doing that? I don't want you doing that. And then I explained to them that, please help me. And they were like, oh my God, yeah, I want to please help you. So, it does help to talk. But for my audience, I really want to stress the fact that when somebody is going through this campaigned abuse, it is hard for them to talk as you've seen, like in my communication, it's hard to communicate when your brain is still in a neurologically accelerated place. You have these this is called word searching. It's not because I don't know what I say, but it is because that my brain is like just traumatized. So today I'm struggling with the fact that I need to go into an area and file some paperwork to protect myself, but I've been victimized in that area. I've been victimized by processes that I have to take. Those processes were reversed and used against me in a major way. I'm going to tell you about it. This is going to be a humdinger of a story. But for today, I just want to show you the real me. I want to tell you that I'm sorry that I never realized what a lot of people were going through. And if at any time I missed an opportunity to help someone, support them, to properly shut up and let them work through what they needed to work through while I listened. I just, I would like to repent for that. I don't know if I did. I'm pretty generous, but I probably did. Because it's so easy to do. It's so easy that when we're trying to comfort people that we love, in some kind of self-defense action, we tell them how to fix it. We tell them, you do this, you do that. And then we walk away. Reality is, there are reasons that they have not and cannot just do this and do that and make their situation correct immediately. Especially if they are in the clutches of judicial process to protect and demand enforcement of their constitutional rights. It's a big deal. And I intend to speak about it. I want to speak fairly. I am not against the police. I am not. So don't come at me with that lie. However, I am committed to protecting the good police officers from those who are not good police officers. And they're weaponizing the law and they're weaponizing their affiliation to commit crimes. And they target people. And then they drag the good officers in with them, at which in such time, now the good officer's not a good officer anymore. He's been tainted. And they do this intentionally so he can't cross back over. They do it to suck him in to the accelerated number of people who are weaponizing the law. Then they are violating people's constitutional rights under the privilege or the protection that right now constitutional rights are not being protected. All the research I have, I talked to every lawyer, and they were quick to tell me that it's just not profitable. And I'm going to give you some quotes and some videos to look at. Some real people who are a whole lot more knowledgeable and, considered subject matter experts who are going to say it's not possible. Lawyers are discouraged from presenting cases of malicious prosecution or a conspiracy to use power against someone to violate their constitutional rights. Because, like I said, there was that court hearing, and I'm going to do better next time to prepare that, said, hey, if a person is not convicted, if the court dismisses them, they're innocent and they have the right to request restitution. Yeah, you have the right to request it, but I used all these little AI tools who do not want to be quoted on this video. They specifically said, no, you can't say that. But I'm going to say it because it's true. I used multiple different AI sites, and I'm going to say that my prediction to you is hypothetical based on AI sites that said that they have the potential to hallucinate and lie. They do. So anyway, based on those hallucination and lies that were provided to me from multiple different AI resources, it is alarming that their estimate was that annually 1% of pro se litigation actually proceeds to a courtroom for a jury trial. 1%. Most are eliminated through processes of motions, being dismissed, yada, yada, yada. In almost every scenario, even the judge dismisses the case, feels confident to say that it was dismissed on, procedural error, not because the case was not valid. I'm gonna leave that there. So where I'm gonna skip from there though is judicial equality, because if that is anywhere close to correct through AI calculations and hallucination and lies, if it's anywhere close though, that should be a problem. Because if a person cannot get legal representation and then they are left to protect constitutional rights through pro se litigant, we need to look at that, work on that, and get some ground, because we're in a scary place with it right now. Then the next thing that's hilarious is not only for that small portion of pro se litigants who are able to make it through the process, if you win, and you should, right? If somebody they basically kidnapped you. You didn't ask for them to remove you from where you were. You went against your will. Now, technically, don't say kidnap, because you can be sued for that if they get a lawyer, and they might. Anyway, you were taken against your will to a place you did not want to be for reasons that were inadequate and likely incorrect, possibly just tremendous lies. It's the trauma for it. It'll get better next time. So anyway, and I'm going to try to though leave my little shirt and kind of stay the same so that you can see that I'm just a person. And then I'm going to show you later that I'm a really hardworking person who has achieved many, many things. Not that that's important, but I just think that it does stand its own ground. That where I am right now, what you're seeing is somewhere that I've been forced to be, because I can't take a bath, I can't take a shower, I can't flush my toilets, I brush my teeth, but still not to the highest level. And see how my face has got this whole thing here? This last accident occurred on this side of my body, and this side of my face is not working right. See how this looks? Okay, I'm not like that. That's not normal. I don't know what's going on. But every time I go to the doctor, I'm still in this, our electronic medical record. It's just carrying everything. And I dare to speculate that it doesn't really support all of the facts that need to be there. But anyway, that's another day, another story. Might be another channel. We'll see. You can let me know if you want me to go there. So anyway, back to the story. Pro se litigants who are forced to represent themselves because lawyers will not represent them because it is not financially beneficial. And at the end of the day, a lawyer has a job. That's his job. That's what he does. He does that so he can have a family, so that he can support his family and he can provide food for them, and then he can provide a roof over his head and all of that stuff. just the same as you and I. So I can't get mad at him for not wanting to do a job that he will not be paid for. There's a term for that, and it was abolished a long time ago. You can't expect somebody to work and not get paid. So the court has created the judicial system, I'm afraid, based on numeric statistics and factual data, has created an environment that does not represent people in malicious prosecution cases because they will not be paid. And not being paid is a crime that was abolished a long time ago. So we're just going to leave that there. If you sue me, then I hope that was enough to support your lawsuit. Good luck. So the next part I want to end on this because this is getting way too long. I'm sorry it took this much of your time. And if you stayed this far, God, thank you, because this is really confusing and babbling around. But this is my introduction. I want you to know, where I'm coming from. Finally, if you are a pro se litigant, you make it the 1% who gets to go to jury trial and you win. They're not going to give you any money for your time and your losses, and you're probably on the brink of like financial collapse. But I'm going to tell you that I'm gonna live in that brink, and I'm gonna go there because regardless of winning money, it is about using my constitutional rights. Because by me using them, by me insisting on my legal, personal rights to institute these constitutional rights, it keeps them alive. Constitutional rights are dying. The way to keep them alive is to keep them in use, keep them active. So whether this gets better or not, this is where we are. This is where we're going. That's what this channel is about. This is probably a bad video. I apologize. But here we go. We're going to talk about this campaign against me. You can see that I would dare say that I wouldn't be afraid of me. There isn't anything to be afraid of from me, except for the fact that I do want to talk about it. And yeah, you can do criminal things to me, and the law pretty much is not going to expect any consequences for you doing things to me. Or maybe they're not going to use the authority to enforce those laws. But instead of it being swept under the rug, which is what has happened, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to tell you about it. And if I can, I'm going to give you all that I have learned so that maybe it'll help you if you have to go through this. But the major factor, the reason for exposing my very private life, is because I want my constitutional rights to remain active and enforceable.